great to have you back. Let's start where we left off. It's really all about getting to know you and looking at some of the vocabulary that we built prior to today. And you have countries that you've covered, a little bit of introducing yourself, how to say and really spell your name. And in this case, listening and speaking, identifying people and asking where they are from. That is a formal way of introducing each other. We were starting to do the affirmative and the negative. Those are statements that you make. Some are yes and some are no. But before I go back into affirmative and negative, we're still in the area of pronouns. The I, he, she, we, they, you, it. I want to cover that again. And it's based on how do we start a conversation or how do we write a sentence. So here is the verb. It comes after the pronouns. And to complete the sentence, we may have to use a preposition. And then look at what we covered earlier, countries. Again, I am from the United States. And then we have different versions of a sentence structure. Depends if you're talking about a man, he, a woman, she, people, we, including yourself, they, those outside of you, you, and it. Remember, it can only be used with things, animals, and objects. Everything above is all about people. And to create a sentence, you must have a verb. And the verb we've been using along in the first session. You're now in the second session, but it's kind of good to go over and look at the verb to be. We also learned a little bit about contractions. The contractions are, how can I make this shorter? I am to I'm. He is to he's. She is to she's, and on down the line. And we learned that earlier. And then we look at how are we going to complete. You're going to have to use a part of the sentence like a preposition and a noun. And we learned that a noun can be countries. Countries are nouns, so you will use them as nouns. And place a period. So that completes a sentence. We're going back to how are we going to use that in a negative way? I am not from France, or I am not from Russia. Those are contractions that you learn to use, and that's what we're going to start again in this next session. So if you go to the section of grammar, we did already the grammar coach. We finished in our last session grammar 1. Now we're ready to work on grammar 2, the affirmative of I, he, and she. Here we have some responses, but let me first go to the student view. The student view gives you an example, so you have to complete the sentences. And you are now familiar with the sentence structure of using to be, the verb to be. That's Miguel, for example. He's from Cuba. That's a contraction. So if we go to the next one, that's Ailong. She's, a contraction, a student. We go to the next one. We can go across, actually. I am, and we make a contraction, apostrophe M. So you're wondering, what is that little mark that you make? apostrophe M. I'm a student too. Eileen is in my class. Then we go in to my name is Soo Young. I'm, again, and you see it behind me, what that form is of the verb, the contraction. 6, let's do another contraction. She is, or she's, and you hear my pronunciation, she is and she's. So sometimes listening to that can be difficult at times, but little by little, repeating and repeating, your ear will get used to it. It will start hearing it and help you to understand the sentence when someone is speaking. I am in English 1. So I'm apostrophe M in English 1. And then the final one, Hassan is in English 1 too. He's, or he is, either one, but he's in my class. And I think number 2 I missed. So let me go back to 2. Miguel is my friend. He's nice. So that gives you a little bit of the practice that we have already covered in prior lessons. And these are contractions. And they were affirmative. They were yes type of sentences. Now we're going to start with the no type of sentences, the negative of be. Okay, let's switch back to the students before you see the answers. Okay, come on. There we go. To complete these sentences, you can do it at home and save them. And you may submit it as a way of evaluating your progress. The submitting any work you do gives you a progress report. So periodically you want to save it, make sure that it's correct. We can cover it again, but it is something you can do at home after doing it with me. All right, here we have some negative. Negative is no. I'm in English 1. Dal is in English 2. And then because we're talking about no, he isn't in my class. Or you can say he is not in my class. So let me go to the board and kind of look at what are those short ways or contractions of no. So let's remove let's do some contractions. Negative, which is no. I am not. Okay. I'm not. You can say it, I am not, or I'm not. He is not. He's not. She is not. She's not. But here is a special way, and it might be a little confusing, but don't. Here is another way of saying he isn't. So you can say he isn't. Hopefully you can see. I'm afraid, let me just maybe just do this. He isn't. She isn't. We aren't. They aren't. You aren't, and it isn't. Okay? It's a different way of saying he is not, he isn't. She isn't, she's not. We're not. So there's a variety of ways. Conversations can sometimes be different in the way of saying the same thing. That can happen. But as you see this example, you will understand that when you use a verb, yes, you can make a contraction, negative contraction in this case, using the word not, and making it short. When you are pronouncing, I highly recommend that you pronounce it with he is not. As you get familiar with the tone of pronunciation, then you can start making it shorter. He, she isn't. We aren't. They aren't. You aren't. It isn't. So those are some of the areas that we're going to work on and make complete sentences out of the contractions, not the negative. So let's get back and look at the next one. Dai is from Vietnam. He isn't from Laos. My name is Roberto Sanz. I'm not Rodrigo Sanchez. Rodrigo Sanchez is my friend. He isn't my brother. Next, Miss Lapinski is the teacher. She isn't a student. Again, she is not a student. Here, she isn't a student. Sounds different, but it says the same thing. Yusuf isn't here today. He's not absent. Aisha is absent today. She isn't here. I'm not from Chile. 2. Something has been. I'm from Chile too. I'm Chilean. We're going to have to go back and see. There's some errors in here. And you may want to look at, okay, here is the teacher view. And the one that I was incorrect on is Yusuf is here today, because the clue was he's not absent. So now you're going to have to start looking at each sentence to make a complete picture or complete conversation or complete idea. So this number 6, Yosef is here today. He's not absent. And then Aisha is absent today. She isn't here. That was correct. I'm from Chile. 2, I'm Chilean. So everything else was in the negative, but those 2 were different. So it's a good thing to read both sentences. Make sure they follow the conversation. Many times we forget that the conversation is about one thing, and then we hear a word and we say, what is that word? Well, that word happens to be part of the conversation, and you can get the answer from just trying to remember what was the conversation all about. But we will learn how to do that and become familiar with the conversations. Let's do grammar number 2, the negative. Here we have, let's look at the student view first. Look at the list. Here are the names. Correct the sentences. We continue building sentences using the verb to be. To be is I am, he is, she is, they are, you are, we are. So those are the same verb using I, he, and she in this instance. For example, Miss Cabral is from China. Now you have to change it to the negative. Miss Cabral isn't from China. If we look at Cabral up here, see, she's not from China. She's from Brazil, and she's in level 3. So this chart, this is what you call a chart. And I'm going to write it up. That's a vocabulary word, chart. Okay, so the vocabulary, actually I should put it on this side, but chart is what you're looking at a chart. So vocabulary word, new word. So this is a chart of information. Let's see what we do in the next level or next question number 2. Question number 2. Mr. Duval is in level 2. Well, let's look at the chart. Mr. Duval from Haiti is in level 1. Okay, so let's put Mr. Duval isn't in level 2. So what level is he in? Let's go back again. Mr. Duval from Haiti is in level 1. Okay, so we're going to put here he, contraction, he's in level 1, period. Complete sentence. Let's do the number 3. Mrs. means she's married. It's a female. Mrs. Zhao is from Haiti. Well, let's go look. Mrs. Zhao is from China, level 1. All right? So Mrs. Zhao is not from Haiti. She isn't. Mrs. Zhao isn't from Haiti. Remember, all countries must be in capital letter. So Mrs. Zhao isn't from Haiti. She's from where? She's from China. Number 4, Mr. Medina is from Brazil. Well, let's look back and see. Mr. Medina is from Mexico, and he's in level 2. All right? So here it's talking about Brazil. He is not from Brazil. So we write Mr. Medina isn't from Brazil. He's from where? From Mexico. Do you remember where Mexico is? Remember the first session? Mexico is right under the United States. Just a little check for you. All right. Number 5. Mr. Motalev is in level 2. Let's look. Mr. Motalev is from Russia and is in level 3. Okay, well, he's in level 3, not level 2. So let's write Mr. Motalev isn't in level 2. All right, so then Motalev, what level is he in? He's in level, what was that? Level 3. Lovely. We have all this information coming from this chart where it has a list of names and what country of origin and what class they're in English as a second language. So this chart has a lot of information. Let's finish up with Miss Park. Now, Miss Park, we don't know if she's Mrs. and we don't know if she is Miss. So we might as well stay with MS as a way of describing a title to the name. And you always use the last name. So Miss Park isn't in, oops, I did more than I should, isn't in level 3. Miss Park is a female. She's in level 2. Oops. There we go. And those are your answers to this exercise. So you have also looked at what a chart looks like. It has information, the chart, and you also have looked at negative, okay, which is a no, and then correct by using the verb he is, she is in this exercise. Great. Now we're ready to move on to the next section. And I like to talk about school. I'm a teacher anyway, so this is kind of fun for you as an adult learner. They call them adult learner or students. Depends, you know, where in the United States. Some places they say students, some places they say adult learner when you are 18 years old and over. Okay, let's start with listening and speaking about school. So you're going to talk. That's a verb. Talk about school. About is a preposition. School is a noun. So you're going to talk about school. And that's correct in the grammar. But we're going to be listening and speaking. So we're going to have an exercise where we can hear a conversation going on. You are to listen to this group of people. There are 2 women and 1 man. 1 woman, the other side a woman, and 1 man in the center. So we're going to listen. Now I'm going to switch it back to a student view so that you can figure out or find the order of the conversation. So let's listen, and I'll do it once completely, and then I'll break it down for you. So don't get nervous, because listening can be very, very difficult when you first start learning the language.
Hi, so what class are you in?
We're in level 1.
Oh, how is it? It's good. The teacher is great. What about the students?
They're great too. There's just one problem.
Oh, what's the problem?
English is hard.
English is hard is what he is concerned about. He feels that it is hard to learn, and it's true, it's hard. If I was to go to another country and learn the language of another country, it could be hard for me too. So let's begin the order of the conversation. So what you were listening to was a conversation of 3 people. 3 people. 1, a woman, and on the other side another woman, and in the center a man. So let's listen and try, and I'll stop and order the conversation and then move on.
Hi, so what class are you in?
We're in level 1.
Oh, how is it?
So the first thing is, hi. That's usually what you do when you first meet someone, a friend, family, or even a stranger. So we pick hi as the first, right? Hi, so what class are you in? And then we're going to look at which, at this point I forgot the order. So let me go back and let's see if we can bring it back.
What class are you in?
We're in level 1.
Oh, how is it? It's good.
So what class are you in? We're in level 1. There we go. Then the second person, I believe, is Minjung here, and I believe Kamala here. Kamaria, I'm sorry, Kamaria. So the next one is going to be, we're in level 1. Oh, how is it? Let's continue the conversation.
The teacher is great. What about the students?
The teacher. Okay. So here, the question was, how is it? How is what? How's level 1? Oh, and right here it's good. The teacher is great.
They're great too. There's just one problem.
Oh, what's the problem?
English is hard.
All right, we went a little ahead. Okay, it's good. So we know that the next question was, what about the students? We know the teacher is great. Are the students great too? I guess that's what Ming Jing wants to know about. They're great too, you know? They're great. Between the teacher and the students, they're great. And then the next thing is, there's just one problem. What is the problem? Oh, what is the problem? I guess we all know what the problem is. English is hard. So there we go. And let's listen to the full conversation.
Hi. So, what class are you in?
We're in level 1.
Oh, how is it? It's good. The teacher is great. What about the students?
They're great too. There's just one problem.
Oh, what's the problem?
English is hard.
Okay. Yes, that can happen, but that's why you're taking English classes, so that you can get easier as you move along. And this program gives you opportunities. So let's go back to the next lesson and let's see what we have. Now you can save the results and come back to it in case you don't finish it, or you may want to look at the words and kind of remove, find the order. There are many reasons why you want to save it and come back to it. But you can submit it because it keeps a record of your progress, and you want to know how you're doing when you start selecting. Now, I'm just giving you a few answers, but it certainly would be wise for you to try to do it on your own without the answers. All right, let's go on with the next section. And we want to look at recording, okay? So let's do a little bit of listening, and you record it, and then find out how you sound. That is pronunciation.
Hi. So, what class are you in?
I'm ready to record now, so I hit the button. Hi. So, what class are you in? And you stop and play back.
Hi. So, what class are you in?
That was a little loud, wasn't it? It was kind of loud. All right, let's go to the number 2.
We're in level 1.
Let's go and record. We're in level 1. Let's play back.
We're in level 1.
Oh, it sounds good. Level 3.
Oh, how is it?
Oh, how is it? Let's record that. Oh, how is it?
Oh, how is it?
Number 4.
It's good. The teacher is great.
Let's record. It's good. The teacher is great.
It's good. The teacher is great.
Let's go to number 5. Oops, come on. Let's listen.
What about the students?
Let's record. What about the students?
What about the students?
They're great too. There's just one problem.
So number 6 is, let's record. They're great too. There's just one problem.
They're great too. There's just one problem.
Number 7.
Oh, what's the problem?
Let's record. Oh, what's the problem?
Oh, what's the problem?
Now you notice how when it's a question, you have a question mark. Your tone changes. So here, oh, it's a question. It's like a declaration, like, oh. And then what's the problem? There's a question mark there. So your tone changes because prior to number 7 on 6, they're great too. There's just one problem. There's no questions there, and you don't hear the change of the tone of your speech. So if you go again, oh, what's the problem? You hear that tone.
Oh, what's the problem?
Here, there's no question mark, so it's regular conversation. So let's listen to number 8.
English is hard.
Let's record. English is hard. And let's play back. Let's hear it.
English is hard.
You can save it or submit it as a way of looking into your progress report. So let's go on to the next. Now at this point we gave you a little bit of the lesson of how does your voice change, okay? How does your speech change when you have question marks at the end? It changes, it gives you a different tone. So let's close this and go into grammar, but this time the grammar we're using, certainly, yes, the verb be, but we're going to use pronouns we, you, they, and it. So we're going to look at that, and there's a variety of exercises here. So we're going to look at what is the grammar coach. Now a coach means it's like a teacher next to you. That is, teacher next to you is giving you some information to give you the foundation of the topic. The topic is affirmative, negative, and we're going to see what they have to say. So this coach is also used as not only a teacher, but someone who's there like for sports. A coach, he or she works with you in your exercises, in your sports activities. So those are people who are called coaches. So in this case, we have like a teacher coaching you. That means guiding you, giving you some information. So watch the video to review the grammar point that we've had for this lesson, which again is the affirmative and negative of the verb be with pronouns we, you, they, and it.
Today's lesson is about affirmative and negative sentences of be with we, you, they, and it. That's Yolanda. We are friends. Yolanda and her husband Pablo are from Mexico. Let's look at these affirmative sentences with be. Yolanda and I are friends. We are friends. Yolanda and Pablo are from Mexico. They are from Mexico. This class is level 1. It is level 1. You are a student. You are students. Notice that we use you for one person and for more than one person. We use we, you, and they with are. We use it with is. We form contractions by putting the subject pronoun and the verb be together. For example, we are becomes we're. We're friends. You are becomes you're. You're a student. You're students. They are becomes they're. They're from Mexico. It is becomes its. It's level 1. We use be plus not to say that something is not true. These are called negative sentences. Look at these examples. We can also make contractions with not. We are not becomes we're not, or we aren't. We're not sisters. We aren't sisters. You are not becomes you're not, or you aren't. You're not students. You aren't students. They are not becomes they're not, or they aren't. They're not from New York. They aren't from New York. It is not becomes it's not, or it isn't. It's not level 3. It isn't level 3.
Okay. One of the recommendations that I have for you is if there is a section that you want to stop at, you can, let's try playing it.
Hello.
And then look at the section that you want to see.
This class is level 1. It is level 1.
There. Let's say you want to look at that.
This is. We form contractions by putting the subject pronoun and the verb be together. For example, we are becomes we're. We're friends.
Here it gives a little bit of the discussion that the coach or the teacher is giving you. Here you hear the way that she is speaking, and that allows you to follow her conversation. I didn't give that to you before so that you can look at hearing instead and what she presents. But if we start from the beginning here, let's try to get this. All right. And let's follow the conversation.
Hello. Today's lesson is about affirmative and negative sentences of be with we, you, they, and it. That's Yolanda. We are friends. Yolanda and her husband Pablo are from Mexico. Let's look at these affirmative sentences with be. Yolanda and I are friends. We are friends. Yolanda and Pablo are from Mexico. They are from Mexico. This class is level 1. It is level 1. You are a student. You are students. Notice that we use you for one person and for more than one person. We use we, you, and they.
And you can stop and maybe take a screenshot. And that screenshot could be your notes when you have to go back and review this type of video clip from the coach. So this is an excellent way of doing a screenshot, saving it, and make a notation, because yes, you will be able to print it out if you have to. So you print out this information and it gives you pretty much a list of pronouns, the verbs, and nouns. Now, friends are people that you are with, whether they are friends from school, friends from work, or friends from home. These are people that you talk to a lot, you call up, and you're always building a relationship with friends. A student, well, a student in a class. From Mexico, from the country you're from, and it gives you exactly what you need to complete that sentence. Level 1, that's beginner's level 1 that you're in. So it starts giving you access to writing that's going to help you build not only the reading and listening, but you're also able to look at how the grammar is broken down. There is this one part, the pronoun, either we or Yolanda and I means it includes the person who's like me, and then the verb be, and then the noun, whether it's a country, whether it's friends, whether it's husband or wife, because they also mentioned husband and wife. So these areas are so important in building sentence. So if we look at Yolanda and I are friends, then and it connects to Yolanda and I as two people, you add an S. So we're looking now for moving on in the future by using this screen, by hitting this little box here, and then you'll have the script. This script is going to allow you to follow the conversation of the coach. So this is a great way of keeping up with your lessons. So now we're going to look at making some corrections using the pronouns, really basically the same way that we learned so far. So we have here, hi, Esteban and Paulo. So what class are you in? Again, hi, Esteban and Paulo. So what class are you in? So which of these would be? It's talking about two people. Okay. And Esteban is saying, we're in English 1. It includes Esteban and Paulo. Miguel goes back, oh, it's only for things, like I mentioned in the board, animals or objects, so that doesn't work. You're there. Well, Miguel is talking to Esteban and Paula. So it's going to be you're new students. Yes, we are. How is your class? Things, objects, or animals? A class is a thing, object, or animal, or a noun that creates a general use, but not of people. It's good. The teacher is nice. What about the students? So it's a group. They're friendly too. So there you have it. Answers to using pronouns we, you, it's, and they, which is in behind me. That gives you some indication. All right, so now we're going to level 2 of affirmative. Boy, we're getting really good at this. It's amazing how quickly you're going to start looking and say, oh, I'm glad the teacher is speaking it, and that helps me hear it, but at the same time, I'm reading it. Did you know that those two things, reading and hearing, will help you speak it? Without that connection, you may not be able to speak it because pronunciation has never been heard. So this is an excellent program where the teacher is supporting the reading, hearing, and helping you come to an answer, while at the same time teach you the parts of a sentence. So that combination makes this program so much alive that you feel like you're in a class, but maybe you're in home, or maybe you're in a group of friends, or maybe in a group of strangers. It doesn't matter, because everyone is listening, reading, pronouncing, and certainly having a lot of fun learning the language. So we're going to start with this making sentence, putting it in the order. And again, we're talking about making sentences. And we have already learned what comes first, what comes second, and then from that point on, what are the options? So the first thing that comes in a sentence is a pronoun. Second is the verb. And then you have, from that point on, the prepositions, nouns, combination. So the nouns comes afterwards. So wow, you're starting to bring more into your understanding of the language. So let's start with the first one. Oops, it's showing my answers. I don't want you to see the answers yet. So let's try, come back. I want you to go one by one. Somehow I must have hit it. Okay, there we go. All right, so the first word would be the pronoun. So let's carry that over. We, right? That's the first word. The second word, and we looked at it, is the verb. So we are. And we learned how to introduce ourselves to someone. We are from El Salvador. There you go. Pronunciation took place, sentence structure, the parts took place, and you've completed a full sentence that you can pronounce. Second one, number 2. What is the first word? Oh, it's easy. It's capital W-E. Yeah, that's one way. We. The verb, is this the verb in? Not really. In is a preposition. So it must be this one. We are, preposition, and the noun or the object of the sentence is level 2. And you said, but you just said it was a noun. I said, yes, it is a focus of your sentence, the object of the sentence. We are in level 2. Number 3. What is the first word? Is it Brazil? Brazil, it doesn't sound right because it has from. No, I believe it's 2 people, Thomas and Celia. Oh, I know what the next one is because it's 2 people, are, they are, Thomas and Celia are. That's how you kind of move around. They are, because it's 2 people. And you already know from Brazil. We don't know if they are married, husband and wife, or they're just friends. They could be friends. Or we don't know if they are boyfriend and girlfriend. We just don't know that. But I bring that up only because they are vocabulary words. So husband, man, woman, wife, could be married. That's when you are married. Or boyfriend and girlfriend, or just regular friends. Number 4. Well, I know it's you because that's a pronoun, that's first. The verb is second. And this is a preposition. And then the noun. So it's interesting. Preposition, preposition, preposition. So we have a variety of different prepositions. You will learn that along the way. What does that mean? That brings in the noun. It will kind of define the noun that's coming up from Brazil. A student. The last one, number 5, Tanya and I. Oh, Tanya and I. We. Tanya and I, because it includes me. I. So Tanya and I, we are, and we don't have we here because we have the word Tanya and I. Tanya and I are absent. You can leave it that way. Tanya and I are absent you can add another level, Tanya. So we're about to finish the whole program at this point. We are now saving it, if you like, submitting it. At this point, that's how you order the sentences. And we have built upon areas that are still there, 2 more areas to group. Now we can consider, well, what is in grammar? 1, what is this coming up? Another set of, I don't want the answers there. You can do that on your own. You can do that, and I'll visit you next time with the answers. And then this other one is pretty much what we just finished covering. We'll go over this one. This one is a long one. But let me go back. Let me start those 2 that we have not finished. And then if I have a little more free time, great, I have a little bit more time. Someone's saying, yes, move on. We have more time. Yeah, I want to finish this section. So I'm glad that I've been given a go-ahead. Aren't you happy? Okay, now we're going to some extra time, and this is what I want to cover instead of waiting. All right. Again, negative, that means no or not true. Using the verb be, we, you, they, and it. Those are the pronouns. All right. The class is hard, period. It isn't easy, right? Not easy. So we have to choose not easy because it's hard. Hard is the opposite of easy. Okay? You may not have realized that until now. Hard, the opposite is easy. So the class is hard. It's not easy, believe me. Okay, let's move on. Number 2. Julie is my daughter. Do we all know what daughter is? We're going to get to that in a few minutes. But let's finish this exercise, and we're going to cover family, a little family. Who is your brother? Who is your sister? Who is your daughter? Who is your son? We'll go over that later. Julie is my daughter. Then she's not my mom. That's what we call mother here in the United States, mom or mommy. She's not my mother. Number 3, you and Malachi are in English 3. If you and Malachi are in English 3, then you aren't in English 4. Because you can be 2 people, and we have you and Malachi. So 2 people aren't in English 4. They're in English 3. Number 4, Vanessa and Victoria are here. Are they absent? No, they're not absent, so they aren't absent. Again, Vanessa and Victoria here. Are they absent? No, they aren't absent. They are here. Number 5, Anna and Lily, or Lil, are from Mexico. If they're from Mexico, they're not from El Salvador. They're not. Again, Anna and Lily are from Mexico. 2 people. They're not. Wonderful. The book is great. Don't you love this program? This program is great. That's another way of saying book also. This book is great. It isn't boring. All right. Boring means you want to fall asleep. Boring is, oh, it's slow and boring, I'm tired. No, this book is great. The opposite. Number 7. We're on time. We're not late. We're on time. On time means you're not late. So that has to be a no. We're not late. Number 8. Lalo is in English 1. Sajid is in English 2. Now here's 2 people. So 2 people. They're not classmates. Why not? Why are they not classmates? Well, Lalo is in English 1. Syed is in English 2. Those are 2 different classes. So they're not classmates. And I know you're wondering, what is classmates? Classmates are people in your class that may sit next to you or are part of your class. That's what classmates are. So we're starting to be more creative in the way that we're presenting these sentences, but you're always hearing the verb to be, and you can hear the pronouns, and it's going to get easier as we continue in the lesson. So great, you've done such a great job. Let's do this extra exercise. Let's switch it to student. Whoops. All right. You are to, okay, come on. It's me. I'm just reacting. It's like I'm having too much fun. Rewrite the sentences in the negative. We continue the no and the not true. Contractions, using contractions. And we kind of learned what contractions are based on the apostrophe S, apostrophe, and the word NT. Are you going to say, what? What was that, NT? Well, let's look. The example. They're or they are in level 4. They aren't in level 4. So now you have to make a positive yes to a negative no. So let's do number 2. We're from Somalia. Now you're going to make it negative. And let's write it down. We, apostrophe, we're not, or let's say we're not, or either one, we aren't from Somalia. Now the reason I changed it to aren't is because contractions. It's asking for contractions. My English class is hard. All right? So now let's put it in the negative and using contraction. My English class isn't, apostrophe T, hard. Well, if my English class isn't hard, then that means it's easy, right? Because hard is the opposite of easy. So good. It's an easy class. Number 4. Mr. and Mrs. Kim. That's a married couple because they're using Mr. and Mrs. means she's married. So therefore, Mr. and Mrs., the last name for both is Kim, are from China. Here, let's make it not true. They are not from China. Mr. and Mrs. Kim aren't from China, period. Or let me add another one. They aren't, from China. These are 2 correct sentences that you can use. Okay, you still use the negative on both, but there is a shortcut if you have to follow a Mr. and Mrs. Kim are from China sentence. So they were already mentioned. So that's how you link a conversation. You can change it to they aren't from China. But this section wants it perfectly the way they started off. Just change the contractions. Okay, I'll do that. Celia and I aren't students. Okay. You can also say we aren't students. Another way of saying it, because you already have Celia and I. So yeah, you can write we aren't students. Either one is correct. It will be a complete sentence. Let's finish the next one, number 6. Calvin and Ricardo aren't from El Salvador. Aren't. We made a contraction. Or they aren't from El Salvador. I know where they're from. I'm sure. I'm sure they're from Colombia. Well, that's my guess, not yours. Okay. Number 7. Diego and Armando are students. No, aren't students. Okay. Aren't students. Sometimes I hear students not focus and they are stuck on that first sentence and they'll repeat the same sentence by mistake. That happens. That's okay. I'll make sure that I let you know, say, oh, you just finished saying that. So now here we say Diego and Armando aren't students. Good. Or you can say it's 2 people. They're not students. That is also correct. This book is interesting. This program is interesting. I enjoy it. As a teacher, I love it. This book isn't interesting. Okay? That means it's not fun. I don't find it's boring, maybe. I don't know. It isn't interesting. So you can also put it's a thing. You can put it isn't interesting. So that is a way of changing the sentence. If you're to become a writer, you have to find different methods of saying the same thing sometimes. And English is full of different methods of saying the same thing. And these were just an example. Like the last one, this book isn't interesting, it isn't interesting. And so it gives you some advantages of saying it differently. But I'll keep it the way the program requests. But if you were to put this isn't interesting, I'll accept it. So I'm okay with it. So let's look at what's left. And really, there's very little left in this section. So we can look at having, these are activities if you're really, really ambitious. You know, I recommend for you to be ambitious, to look at how you can participate in some of these activities that will gain higher level of English language skills. Highly recommended. It is part of a way of reminding you that's your goal. Your goal is to reach those career readiness level. That means that you are learning English to use it in this global market. This global market has a lot of room for your English development as soon as possible. So the more you engage in these activities, you go back, rehearse, redo, and listen, you are starting to be part of this global market where English is a #1 language that is spoken in the United States for sure. And if you're visiting the United States, you have certainly the language in English. The culture is a little different, but this book is going to give you some access to that information about how is the culture in the United States, how are the systems, how are the education systems, how are the legal systems. But as you continue with this online digital book, we have many, many directions in the way that you could use the language, and certainly will make you very successful. So we have a few minutes probably, and just remember there are things to review. Look at that, an article. They have articles. A little bit of reading about the immigrants in the United States. Go ahead, take advantage. It is going to give you some roundabout information of what's going on in the United States. Highly recommended. Thank you for coming. It is a great pleasure in again teaching you. Look forward to the next session and looking forward to seeing you again. You take care.